So we're talking about everything above the surface. This is everything that talks about the behaviors, the voice, the tone, the facial expressions, the words we use, the pace, the pounce, all those elements that you can really see and observe when you're communicating with other people. So how much do you think might be the words that we speak in emotional communication? So really, 55% of how we communicate comes down to body language, the visual expression of when we're talking. 38% is the voice and the tone, the inflection that we use. Is it a statement tone like I'm reading the news, or is it a command tone when I ask people to do something now, versus a question tone when I might inflect upwards. The way that we use inflection and voice and sound, etc., is a significant part of that communication. And actually, in emotional communication, only 7% of what we say is the communication in and of itself. So the words that we speak often mean a lot less than the way that we say what we're talking about. So today we're talking about not what we say, but how we say it, and that's the core of what DISC is. DISC isn't a personality system, so don't feel confined or boxed in. It really looks at the way that you prefer to communicate and behave, and the way that others prefer to communicate and behave, and then, well, what can we do that really connects us, and what might we do that really annoys the other person and might cause conflict within the organization, or mean in a loss of a sale, etc. So I have this old adage that I really like to turn on its head. So the adage says, treat others like you would like to be treated. Whereas I say, treat others like they would like to be treated. If we are communicating and working with people in a way that really engages and motivates them, that excites them, that feels so they feel heard and listened to, then it's going to make a real difference to the relationships that you build with people. Rapport is central to anything. If you would like to get anyone to do anything in life, be it a child or a client or a client that you'd wish to be working with, the first thing that you need to do is to be able to build rapport with them and to really connect. And that way that will support you in the relationship long term. First of all, if you want to change others, you must first change yourself. It's a very important quote, because with DISC, the thing that resonates mostly with me is the fact that we glean understanding about how we communicate, but the next step is really to understand how others communicate and to be able to stretch your behavior to meet theirs. So the analogy that I use when I'm training mostly is, think that you have a rubber band around your waist. It's quite firm. You might have one or two preferences that you like to communicate in. That's your comfort zone. When we're communicating with other people, especially if they're directly in the opposite spectrum, as you'll see in a moment, we need to stretch our rubber band and really think about how we're communicating in their style, to really reach into their world. The more we move into other people's behavioral preferences, the looser our elastic band becomes, and we create or develop behavioral flexibility, which is really important in leadership. If you own your own business, that behavioral flexibility to be able to really connect with people in their own world, in their own way, to help them move into action. So before we move on, I want you to take your worksheet and I want you to think about 3 people who you really, really connect with. And what are the behaviors that you can observe from them? For example, it might be someone who's really focused on results. You love that about them. And what about 3 people or one person with 3 different behaviors that really challenge you? It might be that they really need all the details straight up front, but you're focused on the big picture. So have a think about, pause the video for a moment, 3 people you connect with, and what are the behaviors that you can observe, and 3 people that really challenge you, and what are the behaviors that you observe from them.